Welcome to Abuse Exposed, a podcast about the secret of abuse. Each episode, we deliver intriguing Christian and personal experiences on abuse and how to overcome it. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional mental or medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified mental health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical or mental condition. Now, here's your host, live from Texas, ISpeakMotivate.
Hello, you guys. This is ISpeakMotivate, and welcome to episode 6, Humiliation, based on the Netflix documentary, The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez. Now, we've had so many topics that we spoke about because, again, there are many gems within his story that assist us as a community to move forward in preventing abuse or stopping it early so it doesn't lead to death or long-term psychological or physical effects for an adult that suffered at the hands of abusive parents. Now, again, today, the subject is humiliation. And to humiliate is to cause a person a painful loss of pride, self-respect, or dignity, mortify. How did this represent itself in the Netflix documentary, The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez? Well, Pearl Fernandez, his mother, and her boyfriend, Aguirre, also called Gabriel gay, punished him when he played with dolls, and forced him to wear girls' clothes to school. Now, why do narcissists do this? They use shaming in public and private. It doesn't matter to the narcissist whether you're in a public or private place. They will use every opportunity to shame you and belittle you. Why? Because it lowers your self-esteem and makes you hungry for their praise and validation. A narcissist wants you to hang off their every word. They will say things like, "I was only joking," or "I'm just trying to help you," to excuse their awful behavior. This keeps you clinging to the hope that one day you'll be good enough for them. But of course, you never will. What are the effects of this tool of abuse called humiliation? Incidents and feelings of humiliation can both lead to serious mental health problems. Severe forms of humiliation can be crippling, causing a person to abandon his or her interests or stop pursuing goals. A person who suffers from severe humiliation could experience major depression, severe anxiety states such as post-traumatic stress disorder. The loss of status, being labeled as a liar or discredited unfairly, could cause people the inability to behave normally in their communities. Humiliated individuals could be provoked and crave for revenge, and some people could feel worthless, hopeless, and helpless, creating suicidal thoughts if justice is not met. Now, I researched some of the effects. I put it all in perspective from Google, and it's just a thing where it's absolutely true that it is crippling with humiliation. After dealing with humiliation as someone that has been abused, it is true that you are paralyzed and you don't want to pursue anything because you're afraid of someone confirming that you are not competent. And so you don't even try anymore because you're afraid. And then, going back to his humiliation, they took all of his clothes out of his room and left only little girl dresses and made him wear them to school because he was a sweet and loving young boy and he played with dolls, so they just labeled him gay and tried to make him feel horrible and less than. And as parents, you should only love and uplift your child and pray for them and make sure that they know that you are there to protect them. So even going back to, and puts more insight into not only how we were talking about how he stayed in the classroom at school with his teacher because he was thinking about, he had so much anxiety about what he was going to come home to, what state his mom is going to be in, what state the boyfriend is going to be in, will he eat today, will he eat cat litter, there's a lot of stuff, what torture he's going to come into. That's a lot on a little baby at 8-year-old. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot for a baby to endure. But then on the other end, he was humiliated for playing with dolls. So now going out to the world, this is another part of that layer of not going out to play. Why would he go out to play to risk humiliation inside the home and then outside the home? And you have to understand that this young baby was locked in a cupboard. There was so much blood, they had to change the tape when they came to the crime scene. This baby lived in the cupboard, slept in the cupboard, used the restroom in the cupboard. And I believe they said he was, they handcuffed the handles together so he couldn't get out. And another form of humiliation, he is being treated worse than an animal because he's eating the cat litter that the cat disposed of their fecal matter and urine. They even have cat food, and it's just treating your baby. This is why it gets me. She says, "Oh, I wasn't treated with love and respect by my mom. She didn't give me one bit of compassion." This is my thing. You know how that felt. So why would you do that to your son? Just because you want him to pay for everyone in your past? What was your reasoning? You know what I'm saying? You're mad at his dad. And so your way of getting back at his dad is to beat and torture his son that he loved so much just because he was in jail and you knew you could get away with it. Taking him away from other family members, grandparents, and uncles because you want control and you want to abuse him. You got him. Oh yes, I read something else online. That she left him at the hospital, and she didn't even want him. Called the uncles and said, "Pick this baby up. He's getting on my nerves." 3 days old. She didn't even want the baby. Okay. So she did the right thing. She called and said, get the baby. Fine. Some people can't handle children and they know they live reckless. So they're like, look, here's the baby up for adoption, family member. Okay. That's fine. But now when it gets to, okay, I want control, I need somebody to be my personal punching bag. You know what? You know who it's gonna be? It's gonna be my son. He's gonna be the new. I know if I put him here, he'll be the new punching bag. I can release my frustrations on him. Yeah, that's what I can do. A grown woman. And unfortunately, this baby had to die because no one listened to him. And now we're going to talk about another form of humiliation that he experienced, which was being lied on. That baby was sent outside of the apartment complex, sit in the back of a police car. He has bruises and burns on him. He's explained that, my parents and the step boyfriend is abusing me. And the police proceed to humiliate him by trying to scare him straight of not speaking up against his abusers. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. I thought that police were supposed to be mandatory reporters and to get children out of an unsafe environment immediately. I thought they should have worked directly with DCFS to make sure the child gets out. And and this is the thing that gets me about the whole system, foster care system. They don't really do they really don't do criminal cases with child abuse. It's just their own little DCFS investigations, and if they find you guilty, then you just have to do some classes or whatever, and then they try to do this family reunification thing, but and then sometimes that's not even. Sometimes you can still have your child, but just like Gabriel was never even taken out. Like, you didn't take him out like once. And it's like, people are so into this family reunification, not being in foster care. The true reason people don't want kids in foster care is not because they want them with their families and to live a healthy life with their family. It is so the government does not have to use their tax dollars for these children in this system. Okay? It is to make sure it's a quota not met. I bet it's a fear of caseworkers and things like that, of having a quota of having too many children removed because of the budget. And they could probably be like, you keep on putting these kids in. You guys, we may have to downsize. We may have to restructure because there's not enough money. And instead of those that have control, politicians that have control, that could put resources to where they truly need to be, which is children's rights, instead of doing that in their protection, they put it in these miscellaneous items such as salaries and extravagant meetings and their little conferences and things like that, to make sure their greed is taken care of instead of children. And it's getting out of hand. It is just getting out of hand. And him just being, first of all, Gabriel Fernandez was such a strong young baby to endure all of that. And it does hurt